Greetings, Delaytna Dabalko here on TMH with your daily English news. Our headlines for today include Oryx has disclosed that Iran is still resupplying the Ethiopian military with weaponry. Ethiopian Foreign Minister spokesperson accused the U.S. of fomenting animosity among the countries in the Horn of Africa, and U.S.-based Tigrayan artist has used her power and her art to channel the pain of the Ethiopia's ongoing current war. The drone attacks have not stopped, and since the peace calling, they have continued with their drones, and this took place in Chachar town in southern Tigray, which has killed 2 people, including a child, and critically wounded 4 others. Many camels have also been killed and civilian residential homes destroyed in the latest round of drone attacks by Abiy Ahmed's government. Let's hear some of the perspectives of the victims.
I was at home when the drone attack took place. I was going out for my son when the drone attack.
We were at home when the airstrike took place. It is 3 people here, including this little child.
This is a proof that he is against the people of Tigray. He's targeting civilians and residential areas. He targets farmers, not soldiers. I don't know what he gets out of this.
What have those animals done? What exactly did they do? Those camels have nothing against them. We too are not combatants. He wants to eradicate all of us, including our wives, our children, and our animals.
The glasses are all shattered. My son and I are also injured. All my property has been destroyed.
I was at home. My son was inside the compound. Everything was fine. The drone started to attack when he was out to look after the camels. He just fell on the ground. The camels died immediately. Most of our property has been damaged. I don't care much about the properties, but about my son's injury. He was wounded on 5 different.
Abiy Ahmed's government has carried out successive drone attacks and airstrikes last week, killing about 70 civilians and wounding over 100 others. Oryx has disclosed that Iran is still resupplying Ethiopian military with weaponry. Oryx, a military blog devoted to investigating and sharing conflict, research, and open sources intelligence, reported that Iranian flights believed to be carrying out drones continue to reach Ethiopia. According to Oryx, Emirati cargo flights carrying arms and equipment to Ethiopia appear to have come to a halt, but not before delivering 6-wing Lung one-armed drones. In the past month, 5 Boeing 747-200 FSCSD cargo aircraft belonging to the Fars Air Kishim have landed at Addis Ababa Bole Airport. Oryx says the flights could be related to the deployment of the 2 Iranian Mohajer 6 unmanned combat aerial vehicles to Samarra Airport since August 2021. Throughout November 2021, both Mohajer 6s were regularly sighted on the runway of Samarra Airport, confirming the regular use of their equipment. Fars Air Kishim is affiliated with Iran's Revolutionary Guards and was sanctioned by the United States in the year 2019 for the transport of weaponry to the Iranian military and militia deployed to Syria, and is also implicated in the transport of the armament to Hezbollah forces in the country of Lebanon. Another airline, Poya Air, also vowed by the Revolutionary Guards, is similarly believed to have been used to ferry weaponry into Ethiopia. The number of Iranian cargo flights to Ethiopia since August 2021 currently stands at 15, while this is an increase of 100% compared to the number of flights from Iran to Ethiopia prior to the beginning of the war. This number pales in comparison to the 119 cargo flights from the United Arab Emirates. An extensive air brigade by the UAE and the Iran has sought to keep the Ethiopian military supplied with any arms and equipment it needed, including said drones and the proliferation of Iranian arms and support in this part of Africa is likely much to the U.S. dismay. Whether Ethiopia is to pay the price for its arms acquisition from Iran, possibly through the U.S. sanctions later on, remains to be seen, as said by Oryx. The Archbishop of Tigray Defense Diocese, Abuna Isaias, called on religious leaders across the world to speak out against the genocide on the people of Tigray. Abuna Isaias gave a press conference on a Friday in which he called on all religious leaders of the world to be the voice of the voiceless. Here's what he had to say.
Ethiopia is in a horrific situation. Civilians and religious institutions are bombarded by drones and fighter jets on a daily basis. Why is all this happening in Ethiopia? What did Tigray do? Even our fathers hadn't experienced such kinds of atrocities. We are the first to see such horrors.
The Archbishop expressed his disappointment at the silence of the international community while genocide is taking place in the region of Tigray.
ዓለማት ከምንታይ ከመይ ገይረን ዝሪኦ ዘሎ ዝምልከተኦ ዘለዋ ናይ ዓለም አብያተ ክርስቲያናትስ እንታይ እየን ዝምልከታ ዘለዋ
The international community is simply idly observing the atrocities in Tigray. International religious institutions are also idly watching. Churches are being destroyed. Believers are being massacred. Tigrayans cannot live in peace in their own country.
The Archbishop has declared a 3-day fasting and prayer, which today is on its second day, of the observance by the Tigrayans throughout the entirety of the world. Ethiopian Catholic bishops have also called on the faithful to pray for and foster for peace. The Catholic Bishops' Conference of Ethiopia, held before the Christmas festivities, focused on the humanitarian crisis caused by the 13-month war in the country. In their message, the bishops urged the warring parties to choose the path of dialogue. They've also pledged to raise $2 million to support people affected by this crisis. Ethiopian Foreign Ministry spokesperson accused the U.S. of fomenting animosity among countries to the Horn of Africa. As a symposium at Bahar Dar University in the Amhara region, the spokesperson Dina Mufti said the U.S. has tried to create a crisis engulfing the Horn of Africa. Dina Mufti accused the United States of taking advantage of his country's differences with its neighbors. When we fight amongst ourselves, we will become a market for its weapons, he said. He also accused the U.S. of blackmailing his country by using the Nile River and the files attempting to aggravate Addis Ababa and its relations with the neighboring countries. Ida Referral Hospital says many kidney patients are dying as it has stopped dialysis due to the lack of equipment as well as medicine. Medical staff of the center said that they have not been able to get any dialysis supplies in the last few months. Here's what the doctor had to say. We used to import from outside the country inputs that help operationalize dialysis, like dialysate, catheters, bloodline, bicarbonate. But over the last 2 months, we didn't get any of these supplies. As a result, we couldn't provide any dialysis services. According to the dialysis center of the hospital, 30 patients who should have received new and continued treatment have lost their lives since the late and last July. We have the experts. We also have the dialysis machine, but we lost many lives simply because we didn't have the inputs necessary to make the machine work. They died as we were not able to give them the services they needed. Especially those living outside Ma'ala, we don't know if they are alive or dead. We know many of those in Ma'ala have already died. It's very sad. The center that was established about 8 years ago with the target of providing dialysis services for over 10 million people in the northern Ethiopia has been unable to since the war has taken place. The hospital, especially the dialysis unit, used to provide services to neighboring regions, including the Amhara and Afar. Now, we can't even provide services to the people of our own area. This is also compounded by the famine and the blockade imposed on our people. The medical staff of the hospital has asked the international community to exert enough pressure on Abiy Ahmed's government to end the siege on Tigray's region and ensure that the right to life and the people of the region goes on. UNICEF reports disclose that children of Tigray are paying the highest price due to the conflict and the blockade that has taken place in their region. As the Ethiopian conflict rages on, children of Tigray are exposed to severe malnutrition, illness aggravated by lack of medicine, loss of due to drone attacks, airstrikes, and explosives, among many others. Shume, 10, lives with his family in Yechala in central Tigray, an area that has seen intense fighting due to the conflict in the northern Ethiopia. Their house was burned down during the fighting, and they have been staying with extended family. The boy's father, Barhiat Amma, was taking advantage of a reprieve in armed fighting to farm his land when Shume picked up a curious object that turned out to be a grenade. It exploded, shattering his legs and killing his friend. The presence of an unexploded ordnance is just one of the many threats to the children in Tigray. Due to the ongoing crisis that has only escalated since fighting erupted in the region over a year ago, since then, scores of children have died of starvation, with many more at risk, and as the civil conflict intensifies, tens of thousands of children caught in Ethiopia conflict are severely malnourished. As access to some of the worst affected areas increase, UNICEF's worst fears about extent of child malnutrition were confirmed, according to the agency's report. Based on screening data from July, UNICEF has estimated that 100,000 children were at risk of severe acute malnutrition over the next 12 months, and 10 times higher than the country's average annual case load. At the end of October, UNICEF reported over 80,000 children under the age of 5 were severely malnutritioned in Tigray, Afar, and Amhara regions. Nearly half of all pregnant and lactating women were found to be acutely malnutritioned as well, increasing their risks of pregnancy and childbirth-related complications. Malnutrition during pregnancy also increases the risk of delivering a low birth rate, while baby prone to sickness and even death. Millions of lives are on the line as conflict and multiple crises escalate in Tigray, and malnutrition is just one issue. In its most recent situation report, UNICEF has also said that an estimated 3 million people, women and children included, are in need of emergency protection services. Besides, 2.7 million school-aged children are currently out of school, with 240 schools being used to shelter displaced families and another 2,500 schools completely or partially damaged. With hundreds of health facilities either damaged or closed, and thousands of health workers displaced, millions of people lack access to even basic care. Some 855,000 children under the age of 5 are missing out on routine immunizations. Overcrowding at IDP sites is making poor sanitation and hygiene conditions worse, increasing the risk of cholera and other diseases to outbreak. To reach those in need, UNICEF is supporting the mobile health and nutrition teams to deliver these essential services to the best of their abilities. UNICEF is also providing education, both formal and informal, across Ethiopia's emergency-affected areas, as well as providing support to the survivors of gender-based violence. Our last news for today is about an artist who's portraying her hurt through the form of artistry. US-based artist Gabrielle Tesfaye uses her work to share her feelings over the country's year-long civil war. Speaking to BBC, who hails from Tigray in northern Ethiopia, talks of the collective pain that her people are going through. Let's watch the clip.
I express everything. The pain that we're all feeling, the pain that I'm feeling, and knowing that my pain is just not unique to me. I'm not isolated in that. It's a collective pain. Two months after the war started, I knew that I had to get up and use what I do best, which is express, advocate through my work. When I paint actual places I've been, it's like opening up this channel and this passageway, taking us all back there, you know? Our hearts are there. When I hear the news of another bombing in Mekelle, I think of, oh my gosh, their morning started with hearing bombs. All we know is what we can hear from the news. We are all keeping up with it so much.
There have been abuses and human rights violations on both sides, and now the Tigray fighters have also occupied some areas outside of the north, and so you've had suffering amongst civilians on both sides. Is that not something that can draw you together?
It's more so become like a competition of who is suffering more. The diaspora has completely divided between Tigrayans and other Ethiopians, and it's sad, it's heartbreaking. All of our lives have been changed by this war. So what we're doing now, it's like kind of just even in the preparation stage of what we know we're really going to do when we can get back home.
Gabrielle Tesfaye is an interdisciplinary artist versed in painting, animation, film, puppetry, and interactive installations as well. She's raised in America as a first generation to a Tigrayan father and a mixed heritage Jamaican mother. That concludes our news for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Goodbye.